Hello, and welcome to my studio. I'm Dianna Effner, and this is Hearty Clay. I'd like to tell you some of the things that I've learned about Hearty Clay in the last 8 or 9 years since I've been playing and working with it. I first discovered Hearty Clay at a arts and craft trade show, and I was immediately fascinated with it. I'm a sculptor, and it's clay, and I like clay, but I'm also a designer and a painter, and I like to work with color. So what could be better than clay that comes in all different colors that you can mix and make whatever color you want for the project that you're working on? So I immediately got some of this clay and began to experiment with it. I had ideas about what it would do, but of course I had to try things. So I love that it's so lightweight and air drying, so you don't need an oven, but you do have to be careful to keep it from drying out before you're finished with your project. So that can be quite a challenge with Hearty Clay, and I'll talk about that some more in a minute. And it's very soft. It feels very soft. At least that's the way it's supposed to feel. When it's dry, it's not soft anymore. So ideally, your clay is soft when you're working with it. The package says no kneading. I would take issue with that because to me it does require kneading quite a bit to get the moisture content distributed and make it smooth, and to keep that dry surface worked up so that the surface is moist like the inside. So in fact, the truth is that this clay can even start to dry out in the package. It does have a shelf life, and you need to be aware of that when you work with Hearty Clay. That I think it has, they say it's 2 years, and I've had this clay for over a year, and it might have been in the warehouse for a while before I got it, so I don't really know how old it is. And I can tell that it's starting to dry out in places. It seems to dry out in some places, and other places stay wet or even get wetter. It seems like the moisture kind of migrates from one place to another, depending on maybe the heat, if there's a heat vent near it. So I'm just going to open this package because I want to show you what Hearty Clay should feel like and how you can work with it if you do get a package like this that has started to dry out. Okay. This part of the clay is extremely moist, and the clay on the other side is extremely dry. Now, if you buy Hearty Clay, well, one of the problems I've had is finding a source for it where I can get it that it's fresh. That's been a big challenge for me. But after a while, you learn that if it reaches a certain level of dryness, you can't reclaim it. You have to throw that part away. So this whole edge over here has gotten really too dry to work with. So I'm just going to take that off. And there are other places here that are semi-dry, but they're still soft enough that I can reclaim that and mix it together. And the dry and moist mixing together until it's even all the way through. Now, I save these dry pieces sometimes too because I can use that for an armature if I want to build up a head or something. I've got a dry core that I can use instead of using foil. I can use Hearty Clay for the armature. So I'm going to put this part away, and this is the part that I'm going to save and wrap to work with. When I first started working with Hearty Clay, it was available in 12 colors. It's made by a company called Patico in Japan, and it was being imported into this country by a company that sold arts and crafts supplies. And it was available in the colors, the three primary colors, white and black, flesh, and also a light blue, a different type of red, light green, dark brown, and purple. And after a while, it was no longer available in most of the colors. It was only available in the primaries and white and black. So I had to teach people how to make flesh out of these primary colors if they wanted to use it for making a doll, for example. But so I did a video explaining how to do that. I just want to show you how easy it is to mix colors. I think I'm going to try to make something that's sort of like a very light flesh color using white, and because the flesh that you buy in the flesh is a little intense for my taste. In my opinion, it's got a little bit too much of this orangey pink color, and I want a little bit more of a muted, softer, lighter tan shade of color. So I think I'm gonna see if I can match something. Let me look around my studio. I'll be back. Just a flash. Okay, I have a porcelain doll head. This is a flesh tone that I'm used to working with. I put a blush on it, and it's lends itself well to a natural look. This is the flesh, and I would have to put some white in this to make it light enough, but I'm going to start with the white and show you. In fact, I would not only put white, I would put some of the other primary colors in as well to just mute the color down a little bit. Well, let's just see what happens. I would say when I make flesh that yellow is the primary. So I'm going to use more yellow than the other colors, but I'm going to use a really small amount. I hope that, oh, that might be too much. You know what? I'm going to use less than that, because I can always add more if I need more. But these colors, the point I want to make is that these colors are very intense. And flesh is going to have all three of the primary colors in it, because if I put just yellow and red, it's going to be orange. But there has to be just the very, very tiniest bit of blue. That's how much blue I'm going to put in it. And it might be too much blue. We'll see.
Sorry.
Well, so far it looks like that yellow is definitely the dominant color, and it looks like I'm going to need more, definitely more red, because what I've got is a pale, kind of a muted yellow. So I'm going to add a little bit more red, because it's kind of a greenish yellow. So a little more red might be all that we need for the flesh tone. It feels really good. Takes a while to get it all worked through so you can really see what you have. More red. I'm going to go crazy and add a big wad of red. Still needs more red, I think. But it's kind of a nice color. Sort of a natural muslin color now. It'd be nice for a Raggedy Ann. More color and more red. Oh boy, here we go. That seems like a lot. I'm afraid it's going to be more pink, too pink, but we'll see. Oh, I just realized something. I've been using a different red. I haven't been using the magenta. I've been using the true red. I wonder if that would have made a difference. The true red has yellow in it. Well, it's getting pretty close. It's a little bit lighter, but it's going to dry. It's going to dry a little bit darker, so I think it's pretty close to the color I want. And it's feeling pretty good. It's a little bit sticky, a little bit moist. It might be just a little bit too moist to use in a press mold because it might stick, but a little bit more mixing. And I'm going to try to show you how easy it is to press a little face in my these little face molds. You always start with just a smooth ball. I think that's too big. I'm going to try the little one. Press, and sometimes it pops right back out. It's pretty much that easy with these molds. It's a little bit more complicated with the 2-part and 3-part molds. And there's another video explaining how to do that. Now I'd like to show you some of my early experiments using Hearty Clay for making shoes for dolls. This is one of the projects I developed. It's a clog, and you can see how the I mixed a color that looks sort of like a denim blue. I had to mix a lot of different colors into the blue because the blue is very bright, so I had to mute it down. And you can see how matte the surface of the clay is. That's the look that I loved about Hearty Clay, that it looks a little bit like suede in a really small scale. And this part, the wooden part, is also Hearty Clay that I mixed in tan, and then I painted with watercolors some lines to make it look like wood, and put a little bit of a satiny varnish on it. And I actually used a different type of clay for the rubbery treads on the bottom of the shoe. But you can see how much detail you can get with the clay, making little sew holes and painting, stitching, and so on. And then another one we did was just a simple Mary Jane, but I had fun with the colors, mixing some bright colors and put a little bit of glaze on it for a shiny look. And the little decoration was made with one of the Kemper clay cutters. Just cut out a piece of clay and put a little gem in the middle. And then we experimented with sandals, which were very challenging and tedious and also very fragile. And you can see that the clay is brittle and is not really holding up. This one is actually missing a part, and these are too brittle to use on a doll, because I don't think they would stand up to being played with. So actually I did decide after some of these early experiments that it's probably better for play dolls that you not use Hearty Clay for the upper part of the shoe, because like this strap is very, very brittle and would probably not last very long if I was to use it to put on and take off of a doll. So I started doing combination shoes then, and I decided for this one I mixed up I used ultra suede, very thin ultra suede for the top, for this part and this part, but I mixed the Hearty Clay to match the ultra suede for the insole and the little butterfly decoration. And then I used a different kind of clay and modeled the sole on there. This clay is a little more flexible than the Hearty Clay and a little heavier. I'll talk about the other clays later. Here's another pair that were similar design, a little different decoration, a little different, like two-tone clay, a different color Hearty Clay to go with the ultra suede. Here's a pair of ultra suede shoes that were made with a Hearty Clay insole and Hearty Clay decorations, sculpted little decorations, and then sculpted the sole with a different kind of clay. Also, if you're not going to take shoes off of a doll, if you're going to make an art doll that's going to be wearing the shoes permanently, it's okay to model the shoes right on the doll. And that's what I did with this pair of Western boots. I call this doll an art doll because she's not a doll to be dressed and undressed. Here's another pair of shoes that we did. It's a little pair of work boots. You can see the detail in the work boots. It's made almost completely of clay except for the laces, which is, this is waxed linen, and this is a little bit of soft fabric back here. And then I put these little metal grommets in. Another similar pair here. I can't take these off the doll. I'm afraid that they wouldn't survive it, so a similar design in a different color. Here's a pair that was made by Lana Dobbs. If you can see, it's hard to see black, but they're very detailed. Stitching with a little bit of lace at the top. And this was a trendy pair of boots. One of the ideas I had for working with Hearty Clay was the idea of making dolls using press molds. So I did develop a number of press molds to use with the Hearty Clay. This is one of the first ones I developed. I call this one Cloth Doll because with it, this is the head, and it also has a torso, arms and legs, and then the doll is assembled using little bits of wire, plush craft wire. Here's the doll. I call her a cloth doll. She looks a little bit like the felt dolls that were made by companies like the Lynchy Company in the 1920s. And then later on I did this one, Dolly Deer. She's got molded hair. She has different arms and legs too, just slightly different design. And I also did a ballerina type body with 3 different heads. This head I call Sprite, and the legs of the mold are actually separate. There's a lower leg and an upper leg, and then I joined these legs and added clay to make a straight leg. But the original mold has 2 parts, and this has got a wire, and you can't see it. Well, here, see, it's actually got 2 parts. So on this doll, I joined the 2 parts together and added a little bit of clay for the knee and for the thigh muscle. This is another head that goes with the ballerina body, the rabbit. In fact, this is the one that comes with the set, and then you can buy the other 2 heads separately. This is the kitty head and the Sprite, like I showed you. And here is Grins, and she can be used, I've also used her to make a Santa by adding a fat tummy and a beard. There are a couple of other molds, but I'm not going to show those today. I'll be back soon. Okay, this pretty much concludes my little introductory demo on Hearty Clay. I started to tell you a little while ago about the colors, and at this time, the company that is importing Patico products is only ordering it in the white. The colors are no longer available in this country, so I've had a little difficulty getting it, but I did find out that I could order it. A couple of years ago, I found out that I can order it directly from Patico. They have an online store. You might be able to get it that way. I think there may be somebody making it available on Etsy, and I'm trying to make it available in my online store, although I have had some difficulty. I'm going to keep trying because I think it's great stuff and I really want to share it. So I hope I've given you some ideas on how you can use Hearty Clay for your craft projects. And remember, if you do get your hands on some, to always take care to keep it moist and give yourself time to develop a feel for Hearty Clay, because I think you'll really enjoy it. So, bye for now. Till next time.